Ah, well, that's what I get for speedrunning. Whoops, I jumped just a little too late that time. Oh, I completely forgot about that piranha plant. Well, that one was entirely on my own ignorance.
Game over.
Oh, slip of the joystick, slip of the joystick. Now, I am 90% sure I grabbed that ledge. Oh, well, uh, yeah, I died.
Mamma mia. Come on.
Dang it, you were supposed to keep us alive on that one.
Oh no.
Oh, okay. So there's no lives in this one. You just lose coins. So I'm assuming that means when you have no coins and die, you get game over? Then what's the incentive? What's the best way to give someone an incentive to do better? Death. Precisely! And why that's relevant is because in video games, you normally have a set goal. Like, some random example, save a princess. And while doing that, you want to try your best not to die. Why don't you want to die? It's a video game, it's fictional, you're not going to die in real life. You don't want to die because dying is going to set you back just a couple of steps. See, now that doesn't sound too bad, right? But what happens if you die too many times? The game shouldn't reward you for that, should it? That's why game overs exist. Game overs have been a staple of video game history. You say game over and people immediately think of that time they were playing Dig Dug and got whacked by a puka. Or whatever other experience they encountered when they died for one too many times in a video game. So yes, everyone knows what a game over screen is. It's the screen you see once you lose all your lives in a video game. It's iconic, but why does it exist? Originally, it existed as a way for you to waste all your money in an arcade, because Mappy was kicking your butt for being bad. And what I mean by that is it was a way for arcade cabinets to kick you off for the next player to join and put in his quarter and make more money. And then the faster you die, the more money the arcade cabinet makes. Ah, dang it, Clyde. That's the third time you caused me to get a game over. Now I need another quarter. Time to break out my life savings. There's a quarter. It wasn't a quarter, it was a Canadian loonie. It was the fastest way for arcade cabinets to make a lot of money. That's pretty darn genius if you ask me. But then you may ask, what happened when games transitioned from the arcade to the home console? Were game overs removed entirely? No, of course not. In the early stages of home gaming, consoles couldn't save your data. So, game overs act as a way for the game to reset when you died one too many times. So, like say you're on the 8th world in Super Mario Bros., you die to Bowser right before you save Princess Peach. Guess where you're going? All the way back to the start of the game. Now I can see why that would be frustrating, and I can't imagine if games like Cuphead worked like that. But with that logic, you may ask yourself, when games could save data, were game overs removed entirely then? Nope. At this point, game overs have evolved into what I think is perfect. When you get a game over, it takes you back to either your last save point or, in specific cases, the beginning of level/world you were on. Like, take the new Super Mario Bros. Series, for example. Say you're grooving on through a level, you hit the checkpoint flag, and you know what that means. If you die, it sends you back to the checkpoint flag, not the beginning of the level. But, if you get a game over, it's going to boot you out of the level, and then you lose your checkpoint flag, which means it's an inconvenience. And that's exactly what a game over should be, an inconvenience. Not devastating, but not the best option. Let me elaborate. A game over should be what gives you incentive to improve. You never want to see that darn game over screen again, do you? No! So you practice and get better, so it never happens again. And a game should encourage you to get better. That's what I think game over screens do. So now that we're all caught up on game over screens, the question is, why am I assaulting you with all this information? This is all so you understood the history of game overs, so then you can understand my point going further. Going further is game overs in today's era of gaming. And what I mean by that is most games at this point don't need a game over screen. But that does not mean we should eliminate all game over screens. Let me go into more detail. You can make the argument that game over screens are an outdated format because its original purpose was to kick players off as fast as possible to move it through to keep the money flowing. But what I say to that is as video games have evolved over time, game over screens also have evolved over time. Here's the main thing I'm getting at here. Recently in a lot of games, game over screens are just completely absent. And not seeing a game over screen is kind of upsetting, because it gives me no incentive to get better. Because then what's the consequence for dying? How I see it, game over screens are there to help keep people involved with the game they're playing. The fear you get from being on that last life is both irreplaceable and a wonderful experience. It's a way to keep you involved and interested, and it makes you want to get better because you don't want to die. So to make things just a little more clear, let's take Mario Odyssey and Mario 64 for example. I can remember fighting Bowser in Mario 64 as a kid, and I'm sure you can too. You remember you're on your last life, you've made it all the way up to the top of Peach's castle, and you're destroying your N64's analog stick just so you can hear Mario say those sweet words as you catapult Bowser into that bomb. And once you've died multiple times, you finally figure out just the right way to throw him, and then you hear Mario scream those beautiful words as he hurls Bowser through the air, and there it is, the star. And suddenly all of those game overs you got before have become worth it, because you learned and improved and defeated Bowser. You persevered through each and every game over screen, and you feel empowered as soon as he explodes, and the end of that game is so much more worth it. That brings us to Mario Odyssey. You haven't gotten a game over once, you never had to learn from any mistakes or anything, you never had to improve, so if you die multiple times, it's not like the game's going to punish you. There's not a game over screen in this game. Not at all. No punishment. Mario Odyssey doesn't have a game over screen. So instead, if you're fighting Bowser on the final boss, it's getting really heated, and then you die, you just start over. No punishment at all. Just right back from the start of the Bowser battle. And it's like, okay, great, convenient, yes. But then you beat Bowser, you save Princess Peach, she rejects you on the moon, and it's like, why even bother? Now, yes, I know, Mario 64's ending is completely different than Mario Odyssey's ending. But still, it could have been a lot more satisfying of a fight, because it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. That's what video games mostly are for most people. It really depends on your preference. Especially in a Mario game, though. It's like Mario 64. You die multiple times, you learn, improve, and you die, you persevere through those game over screens when you see Mario's face. He gives you that little smile like he's ready to go again. That makes you ready to go again. You groove your way back upstairs, all the way back to the top of Peach's castle. You jump in that little hole. You beat that whole not easy level. It's not an easy level. But that's because you learn. Then you get up to Bowser. You find just the perfect way to spin him, throw him into a bomb, blow him up. You get the star. And you're empowered. You know that you did it by trying. You know you learned, improved, and fixed what was wrong. And that's a great feeling. It makes the ending a whole lot more worth it. Well, then in Mario Odyssey, going through it, you realize, oh, if I die, there's not a consequence. Oh no, I lost a couple coins. Big deal. No game over means no incentive to get better. Because if you die, uh-oh, I'll do it again. And then if you die again, uh-oh, I'll do it again. You get to the final boss, you're fighting Bowser, he kills you, guess what? You don't feel anything. It's not like it's going to kick you back to the start of the Moon Kingdom, it's just going to put you right at the beginning of the fight. You fight him again, you probably die, then you fight him again, and then oh boy, you win. You get to feel nothing, because the game didn't make you earn it. You didn't earn your victory. You just died and kept going. Now I get it. There are games that function and work just fine without game over screens. You know, they're the games that you'll still learn from your mistakes going into your next life. But without game overs or lives even, there's no consequence for dying. And it just kind of ruins the immersiveness of the video game, in my opinion. Now yes, I will agree that not every game needs a game over screen. But the select few, like Mario games and stuff like that, it's sad when they're not there. Doesn't give me the incentive to get better. Doesn't have any consequence for dying. So from here on out, I'd be kind of sad if they're gone forever. But we can always hope they aren't.